Hello, welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show. We are back with Backlash, WrestleMania, Backlash to WrestleMania. Something like that. Is that right? Is that the official name? I don't really know
The
anymore.
WrestleMania Backlash now.
Okay,
So it's the Backlash from WrestleMania Backlash. Backlash.
okay. I like it. That makes sense. Um,
Yes.
and what a card we had, Anthony. It was a
What a
six-match
card
card
you are.
plus the pre-show. We had Sheamus taking on Ricochet in the pre-show, and Sheamus
Yes, he
picked up
did.
the
Yes, he
win.
did.
In terms of the main match card, we had the Raw Women's title kicking off the show with Rhea Ripley defending against Asuka and Charlotte Flair, with Rhea Ripley picking up the win and Asuka eating the pin. Then we had the SmackDown Tag Team titles on the line as the Dirty Dogs defended against the Mysterios, with the Mysterios winning, and we get new father and son tag team champions. Huzzah. We then had a lumberjack match, if you want to fucking call it that, with The Miz taking on Damian Priest.
More like a slumberjack. No, that don't work.
Yeah, more like a fucking shit show. Yeah, Damian Priest won. Zombies. We'll talk about that.
Stuff happened. Yeah.
We then had the SmackDown Women's title on the line as Bianca Belair defended against Bayley, and she did defend. She picked up the win, so Bianca is still champ. Then we had the WWE title on the line with Lashley defending against Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman. And similarly to the Raw Women's title match, somebody was in the match to eat the pin, and that just so happens to be Braun Strowman as Lashley retained. And then probably maybe the only, nah, that's probably harsh, but the main decent match of the night was Roman Reigns taking on Cesaro for the Universal title.
Yep.
And
As it should be.
Roman Reigns picked up the win, as expected by me at least. But yeah, that was the
That
card,
was. I
Anthony.
don't know, man. I was expecting it. Like
I mean,
I
you
was
did
expecting
in
a
the prediction
change.
series. You went for Cesaro, didn't you? You backed him.
Oh no, yeah, no, I was expecting Cesaro. Sorry, I should have made that clearer.
Mm.
I was expecting that victory to come out. I was expecting maybe the feud would carry on and maybe he'd get his title back eventually. But I was expecting a bit of an upset in some way, and Cesaro taking the win, and we didn't get it. I don't know what this means for Cesaro going forward. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't think they, especially right now, they have the balls to put the title on someone like Cesaro. But at the same time, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for where we are. I think Cesaro could absolutely dethrone Bobby Lashley, for example. But you've built up Roman Reigns over the last year to make him so fucking strong and such a big deal that whoever beats him needs to be like the next guy. And as much as I love Cesaro, he's not.
Oh,
He's just not that
Goldberg.
guy. Oh, go big. Finally, spear versus spear, the match we always wanted and we never got. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like whoever does beat him, it has to be somebody that's going to be like, okay, this is them set up now. And I think if Cesaro beat him, he would be obviously he'd be a fine champion, but he would suffer from a promo standpoint.
I don't know why that felt so. Be a fine champion.
Be a fine champion, but he'd be a shit promo. No, I mean ultimately that's where like as you say yourself, that's what's so formulaic about SmackDown, isn't it? Is that every week we kick off the show with a promo from your champion, your big star. And can
Your
you see the
boy.
likes of Cesaro kicking off SmackDown every week with a promo? Because I can't. Um,
But you know what? We're going to definitely get this week. Roman Reigns kicking off the show with a promo.
and to be fair, like obviously Drew McIntyre was the same when he was Raw champion, like the WWE champion, and we don't get it now with Lashley. So I'm not saying it has to be done, but I feel like it's been so formulaic on SmackDown that that's how they're always going to open the show. That whoever does dethrone Reigns, yeah, I think it's going to be someone who has to tick that box as well.
McIntyre.
Mm,
Going to move over to SmackDown. There's going to be some sort of shake-up or trade in some way. We're going to see a random McIntyre. Wild McIntyre appears,
I mean,
attacks Roman.
I would be a fan of that. I think that the general fans would lose their minds because I think Drew is at that point now, and it's unfair to him to be fair because he's been a COVID champion, but he's at a point now where he had such a dominant reign as a face that people don't really want to see him as the champion anymore, and it is such a shame because he's never really had that, what he deserved in front of a live
No.
crowd. So.
Yeah, but we're sort of past that point now, so he can't do it. He needs more time away,
Mm.
or he needs to be in a different gimmick or whatever. But we need a bit more time away from the title now, I think.
Well, that's
sadly.
Yeah, I think.
And we're clearly, I joked about it, but we're clearly going into a Seth Roman promo program, which I'm all for, actually.
I mean, yeah, it's something which have we seen that properly before since the Shield split?
Not for a long time.
So yeah, I mean, especially from a character standpoint, they both had drastic character transformations.
And it'd be interesting, because stuff that I didn't realize that have been pointed out on social media when you talk about this is, Roman has never actually beaten Seth in a title match.
Wow. Okay. So
Ever.
straight away, that's what your feud is built upon, isn't it? But the thing that worries me, well, not worries me, but the question I have is who's the face here? Because
I think you might be able to get away with it. I don't think you need a face.
I don't know. For the casual fan, they want to tune in to cheer someone on, and obviously for people like us who are like, yeah,
They can pick their guy.
Roman's much better as a heel. Like, you don't want to cheer for either of them.
Are they going to try and sneak Roman face again and try and have us not notice?
God, I hope
Little
not.
bastards.
But then
Sneaky
again,
little bastards.
I feel like the storyline with the Usos hasn't really played out yet either, so I don't really know where that's all.
Oh my God, I wish it would.
Maybe this is how we get it. Maybe this is, Rollins is going to convert the Usos, and they're going to join in.
Disciples to become disciples.
Yeah, and then it's Rollins' disciples. That way it explains why Roman would lose, because his cousins have turned on him. He has a little bit of a break, comes back as a good guy maybe. But
imagine Seth healing it up though, declaring himself the head of the table because he's took over his family and stuff. I could fucking well see that,
Followed by his little cackle,
yeah.
Only he can do.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make that happen.
I mean, yeah, you never know. I'd like to see it because it is honestly interesting where Roman goes from here, because Cesaro's been a good foil for him, but like I always thought, they weren't gonna put it on him yet. So who is the next, realistic challenger? And I think Seth is one of the only guys who fits the bill at the moment. So yeah.
I don't. Why does it feel like the roster's kind of sparse again?
I mean,
I'm trying to think of people who can go up against them. Like,
because they've done such a terrible fucking job of building main event caliber like stars, they just haven't done it in so long.
Like, how can you have such a massive and big and strong roster and I'm still here? Like, there's like 3 guys maybe, and he's already fought 2 of them. Like, the hell?
The question I have: where's Edge gone now? Because as far as I'm aware, he hasn't re-injured himself. So it makes sense for Daniel Bryan, whose contract is up. But why are they not, exploiting Edge every week while they've got him?
It's a good point.
So that baffles me too. But realistically, we should be getting Edge versus Roman in a one-on-one, because fucking Daniel Bryan Charlotte Flaired himself into the fucking main event, didn't he? So
yeah, entitled prick.
So realistically,
great guy though. Great guy.
That's what we should be seeing, because there's a storyline there as well of like, he never had his fair shake. He won the Rumble, didn't get his opportunity that he was promised by winning the Royal Rumble. So there is still a storyline to be told there. You've still got Spear versus Spear. There's a lot of stuff, but yeah, I just don't know where he is. But anyway, without digressing too much, I think we can both agree the Universal title match at Backlash was the best match on the show, I would say.
I would agree.
Concur.
These two work really well together, and it's not a combo that people would sit here and go, "Oh yeah, those two really good chemistry," but they actually do, and it just doesn't like get the attention it deserves. I don't think. Like, even like, obviously, I'm saying that the main event of the pay-per-view, but you know what I mean. Like, for some reason, and I could be totally wrong on this, the world might have changed since I last looked, but for some reason, you don't go, "Oh yeah, Roman Reigns and Cesaro, that's going to be a banger of a match," just because of who's in it. Where you should, because they actually put on really good matches together.
True, definitely.
I
don't know about you. The other highlights I had, and I've only got 2 highlights really. The rest of the stuff, yeah, we can talk about. But the WWE title match. So even though it was, Choo Choo Strowman, was the guy who ate the pin, sorry, and Lashley picked up and retained. The match itself was good. It was a big hoss fight. I'm a fan of, obviously, mirror match type things. There was just a big bunch of burly men beating the shit out of each other. What more can you want? So, yeah, would I have liked Drew to win and retain? Absolutely. Did I think he would? Did I shit? But yeah, so the outcome was not a surprise.
I'm liking it. I'm liking Lashley keeping the belt.
See, I don't mind that, but at the same time, he hasn't, in my opinion, he hasn't done anything to win me over in the time he's had it. Honestly, he hasn't.
Yeah, there's still time.
But right, to compare that with Drew, when Drew won that belt and like the way he won it, and obviously the Rumble and all this kind of stuff, he was then super fresh for like at least a month, probably more, where he was coming out cutting promos that were like, okay, yeah, fucking hell, this is good, this is different. It doesn't feel like he's reading off a fucking
Look,
script.
let's be honest. Bobby's not a promo guy.
But what is he then?
He's a
Like, there you go.
Look.
What
He's
is
not a
he?
promo guy.
Like, that's my problem with him. Is I'm happy for him, but what is he? He's got no charisma.
Like,
He's got
I
decent-ish
think
ability. He's got size, but even MVP is not doing the mouthpiece work for him. So
I
what
think
is he?
that is what they need to do. They need MVP to lean onto the mouthpiece stuff more, because all Bobby needs to do is turn up and destroy people. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah.
But no, sadly, they're trying to give him the mic, and it's just not working for me.
Yeah, same. I don't know. I think when they had the hair business, it was fine. Now that it's just them two, he can't
How could we not bask in
carry
the
it.
hair business holding all the gold for a bit longer? That was fucking annoying, that.
I have no idea. No idea. But you just made me think then, in terms of what's next. You said Basque. When are we going to see Keith Lee?
Oh, basket is glory.
Because obviously
Um,
that is a feud which I
well,
think.
there's a large amount of speculation as to what's going on there, because like he's not injured and he's not on TV, and like what's that about?
I've heard rumblings, which I hope isn't true.
Royal rumblings?
Royal
Yeah.
rumblings. I hope isn't true, but would be very WWE, is that they've basically told him to go home and lose weight.
Okay.
So when they brought him up to the main show, obviously we had that thing, didn't we, where they ran extra classes for the overweight talent. And it was shortly after that it was, Keith Lee was removed from the show. Now he's come out and said several times that he wishes he could be there and all this kind of stuff, quite cryptic, but he's not said he's injured. He's not said he can't compete for any reason other than maybe they're keeping him off TV because they want him to get into better shape.
Thing is though, like that was kind of who he is.
Yep.
It was never a problem in NXT, and he was over as fuck. Like he's always going to be a big dude. Like don't be wrong, he could probably slim down, but like let's face it, all of us could on some level.
Yep.
But he's always going to be a big dude. So like that's just his build, for a lot of it. I don't know what they're wanting there. That's weird.
That's what I mean. So, it could be bullshit again, but that's obviously the rumors on the grapevine is, initially people thought it was health related things, and if I'm honest, I'd rather it was the weight thing as opposed to anything seriously wrong with his health. But
Of course, yeah.
whatever the reason is, I don't know. I think he was brought up. He had quite a bit of momentum behind him. He kind of fucked up his music, he fucked up his ring gear, and he slowly started to get it all
Oh
back.
yeah.
And then the next
They
minute,
fucking bring him to the main roster, dress him wrong, give him shit music, and then go, "It's because you're overweight." It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
no, this guy's fucked him up.
So I don't know, but I would like to see him back soon, and I do think a Lashley versus Keith Lee feud would be something I could
Yeah,
get
I'd be all over
invested
that.
in.
To be fair.
But right now, like, where's it going to go now? Because surely they're not going to do Drew versus Bobby again, just them two. Braun ate the pin quite convincingly. So
Similar problem
who's
to
next?
SmackDown, is it? It's like,
Yeah.
who have you got now? Like, we can't go Drew again. Braun shouldn't be anywhere near the title
Do you
scene
know what?
anymore.
Do you know what I have heard, which will
Uh,
make you piss your pants?
go on.
There's the potential of them bringing Aleister Black over to Raw again. So
So he
apparently,
literally he's never going to have a match on SmackDown.
they're looking for more star power for Raw because it is so sparse.
And he's
Um,
a star?
well, there's that whole separate debate, isn't there? But that's what's being discussed, is potentially bringing Aleister Black over and putting him as like a main event guy against the likes of Bobby. Um, so yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's not going to go well.
no, I mean they, and again, yeah, Drew McIntyre, Mark fanboy, we get it, but they don't know how lucky they are that they had Drew carrying that company for the last 2 years, because who the fuck else was it going to be? He came out of pretty much obscurity into the fucking main event picture, carried the fucking company for God knows how long in the middle of a pandemic, and now, you know, he not for his own, doing, he has to stay away from the title picture now, right at the point where we're about to get back into, crowds and stuff again. So I hope
Yeah.
they don't do a John Cena with him and make him like the big top guy and everyone hates him and he's booed even when he's a good guy. But yeah, at the same time, he's got something there. I think they just need to let him do what he does best. But anyway, slight digression. But I think the triple threat match was probably my only other major highlight of the show. The men's triple threat
Yeah,
match, that is.
I can wear that. Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any others? Any other highlights at all that
Hang
you
on,
wanted
let
to
me look
call
back at the
out?
matches. It's not looking good so far. Uh, let's have a look. One thing, it's not a highlight, so I'll mention it in the O'Shites. And it was actually just more of a general wonderingment. But yeah, I have no other highlights. Fuck that.
Okay. So let's call out the big fucking zombie elephant in the room, Anthony. What a fucking right. I'd love to get your thoughts on
So
this.
right. I really hate the way the world is, like, with the way the fandom is over this shit. Because people were unhappy with the lumberjack match, understandably, right? And then straight away, what do people do? They get pissy and defensive because we like WWE. And it's like, oh yeah, well, the Undertaker's a zombie and no one's got a problem with that, and it's so on and so on. AEW's got a dinosaur and so on and so on. And it's like, why are you just throwing other shit out there, right? The lumberjack match that randomly included zombies when it's actually nothing to do with anyone's character was fucking shit, right? And then you go, it was fucking shit, and they go, yeah, it was shit, but don't bitch about it. Just turn it off if you don't like it. It's like, so right, it's okay. So I can bitch about AEW all day,
Yeah.
but if I say anything about the random insertion of zombies for no reason in a match that had nothing to do with these characters, then yeah, I'm just fucking moaning. I'm over the top, and I hate WWE for no reason. Yeah, okay.
I mean, Jericho definitely fanned the flames, didn't he? We heard
He
from
did, but at
somebody
the
in
end of the day,
WWE. They said that the Blood and Guts match set the business back 30 years. Jericho, obviously, off the back of zombies, said, "What? That just set the business back 30 years." So that,
this is one of the few times where I totally agree with Jericho having a bitchy comment.
Mhm.
Jericho's made bitchy comments before. I think Jericho can be over the top when he's fanning the flames on the whole ratings war as well. But this is one of the few times where I'm like, yeah, do it. They made a bitchy comment and you're having a jab back. Fuck it. I'm totally fine with that.
well,
Doesn't make the match any
to be
better.
fair, he's absolutely right. And for me, obviously, it was MVP who came out and was like, people saying they don't like zombies, but they love the Undertaker. And it's like, well, the thing is, a gimmick for a wrestler is very different to, you know, booking a lumberjack match, and then just because you happen to be sponsored by Army of Darkness, you then turn the
Look,
lumberjacks into flesh-eating zombies and try and bring that into fucking kayfabe.
because
Um,
that's what they're missing. It's nothing to do with their characters. Like the Undertaker is like the undead mortician or whatever from the original character, if you will, right? And that was part of his character. So the Undertaker coming down with druids makes sense,
mhm.
right? So to try and give it, this is how I look at it. In a similar sense, if John Morrison came down to the ring with druids, it would make no fucking sense.
Mhm.
Why? Because it's nothing to do with his character, and that's the problem with the zombies. It's not the fact that they had zombies. It's like, what the fuck has it got to do with these three people?
Yeah, and it's like, it's fine for WWE to do creative things with their partnerships, right? What you don't do though is you don't get a gang of fucking zombies because there's a movie about zombies and have them eat one of your wrestlers, because then you're kind of like, okay, that's a bit fucking silly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like putting R-Truth in a fucking, letting him lose the 24/7 title to the guy from fucking Old Spice. Sound, that's fine because
Look,
firstly,
here's one for you, Carl, right? And here's proof that it's not the zombies that are an issue, right? Or certainly for me anyway, is NXT did Halloween Havoc and had zombies attack Cameron Grimes, and I did not have a problem, and I did not moan about the inclusion of zombies. Why? Because it made sense to what was going on.
yeah,
It's not about the zombies. It's about the fucking, like, where the fuck did that come from? So left field and pointless.
yeah. It's
And
just,
apparently we're not allowed to bitch about it though. So whatever.
yeah, that's what I don't get. I hate this whole kind of, you know, there's a subset of fandom out there who are not open to logical thinking. They back either AEW or WWE. That's the show for them. Everything else is shit. You can never change or you can never convince anybody. For people like us who watches, not all wrestling obviously, but who watch the main 4, 5 shows, whatever, we watch the whole spectrum of that. And having been fans of, the biggest wrestling company ever for the past, fucking 30 years, we know when they're putting out good stuff and shit stuff. AEW is a brand new thing, and we know sometimes we can be a bit fanboy and latch onto the fact that it's different and alternative. And a lot of the time, because of our frustrations with the WWE product, But at the same time,
and it's not like we're totally ignorant to it. We've bitched in this week in wrestling this week about a few different things in Dynamite. John Moxley's music being one of them. So it's not like we're just there ignoring every little problem.
no.
We genuinely we just moan about wrestling when we need to.
I think we can hold our hands up as well. And if Cody Rhodes was facing Anthony Ogogo, a fucking Double or Nothing, in a lumberjack match, and then all of a sudden they turned out to be zombies because they were sponsored by, you'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? You would be, because it doesn't make any fucking sense, right? So it's irrespective of the company or anything like that, of any prejudice, to either of them. It's because the booking decision didn't make any fucking sense, and it was just we had to just accept that there were zombies there now. And it's not even just the fact that they were zombies. Like, if they were zombies on the outside and didn't do anything sound, for me, what went over the top with it is the fact that they were trying to eat people and shit like that.
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
Like, this wasn't even like well, let's like scare the Miz. Like, let's arrange something where we scare the Miz with some people dressed as zombies. They legit like ate the guy, apparently.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
what
It's like, okay, surely that one's a little bit too far now, isn't it?
But again, like I just echo back to Halloween Havoc and NXT and go, it totally was in keeping with the pay-per-view itself and the match type, and I didn't have a problem with it. You just can't have random zombies when you feel like it. It doesn't work like that.
No. And I've obviously, if you go on the cesspool, oftentimes that is Twitter, the amount of people who were comparing the zombies to Jericho falling through the cardboard and trying to make out like that was worse. I honestly cannot comprehend that comment. Was it a poor camera angle choice? Whatever.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like one was massively intentional and one wasn't.
Yeah, and it's like, how I don't understand how anyone can sit there watching them two shows side by side and go, okay, the thing that set wrestling back 30 years was showing cardboard as opposed to having flesh-eating zombies as part of one of your middle card, mid-card feuds.
And let's not forget, because one of the other O'Shites, and I'll move into it slightly here, is we had this in the middle of the show. We had a pre-show match between Ricochet and Sheamus, and absolutely nothing to do with the IC title.
Yeah.
And they were clearly hinting at some sort of like fatal four-way on SmackDown. And I actually thought that we were going to get that booked, and maybe they are going to do it down the line. We were clearly hinting in SmackDown that Apollo, Big E weren't done, but then we had KO and Sami Zayn getting in the mix as well. They were clearly hinting at that, and yet we got nothing for Backlash. And well, let's have this random like zombie thing. And okay, I get it. The Miz and Morrison and Priest thing had been built up, so still have that match. That's fine. So what was with the pre-show Ricochet Sheamus thing? Other than the fact it was the US title?
There's never been a time where we've had more hours of weekly television, of weekly wrestling television, with such little emphasis on your secondary titles. It fucking baffles me how you've got titles that at one time were fucking prestigious in the IC title and the US title that are just complete afterthought and can't even make it onto the fucking show. And yet
Well,
you've
this is
got
the thing, right?
zombies in a
They
lumberjack
had
match.
they had a US title match on the pre-show, and then some goofy bullshit that had no consequences at all in the middle of the fucking show. Who ordered this? Who put this card together?
And it's like, I get it as well. WWE is not a wrestling company. Even though what they do is wrestling, right? In Vince's eyes, they're not a wrestling company. They're an entertainment company, and they want to have
We make
varied,
movies.
yeah, they want to have varied, fucking, levels of entertainment. So I get it, but at the same, it can't all just be wrestling. But at the same time, I don't know. What a terrible decision, especially for the IC title. I'm absolutely disgusted by the way that's treated. And I
You
had
have your
big hopes.
particular love for the IC title, so I get that.
Of course I do. It's always been the workhorse's belt. It always has been. You look at the fucking names. You look at your Bret Hart, your Pipers, your fucking Savages. Every fucker who's held that belt has been, deserving of it, Mr. Perfect. And then
Big E, Apollo,
and it's like, to be
Sami
fair,
Zayn.
I had high hopes for Apollo, especially with his new gimmick and stuff. But once again, it's just faded into obscurity, and it's such a
But
shame.
again, I think the problem is we've had a couple of matches between him and Big E now, and then we're still not done.
No.
Who comes out this week? Big E.
Yeah.
It's like, let it go. I would maybe be able to carry on being engaged with Apollo if he started fighting some other people.
Yeah, and it's like, Kevin Owens is now in that title scene as well, and it's like literally a couple of months ago he was fighting for the main title, and it's like, how how can he have such like yo-yo fucking booking as well? And
Yeah, how can you have the workhorse's belt, build up to the main title, drop back down again, go back up again, like so frequently? It's crazy.
doesn't make any sense. But
Does
yeah,
it?
that being said, that would have improved the fucking card, drastically, even just having that four-way on there, I think. But yeah, I think it would be remiss for us to say anything else on the show was no shite as such. I think the majority of it was just underwhelming. Like,
I mean, it's not an oh shite. It's not an oh shite, but I do want to ask how you feel about the tag titles, because I feel like it was pushed on me a little bit of going, look, we've the first time ever, and it's like, well, okay, that's pretty cool, but at the same time, I
we
feel like you've
love
jumped the
love a
gun with old
first.
Dom there.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It was probably done, for the same reason why Tamina won the fucking title. It was like that was her first title. Like they love having the first anything because in a world where everything's been done, it's nice to be able to say you the first this or first that, isn't it? But
Yeah,
I
it's
also
not like, I mean, honestly, right? AEW could have raced them to that if they wanted to, and had Billy Gunn win the title with one of his sons,
yeah
which would have legitimately worked because they've all been working on AEW and they've all been working on Dark and so on like that. But no one was actually competing with them, and I still think Dominic needs more time as a wrestler before we get into this kind of. He now holds a title.
yeah it is
Been there like
it
2 weeks.
is man.
Okay, I'm obviously exaggerating, but whatever.
I saw something on Reddit as well. Said the first time a title has won a title. 'Cause obviously, there was a one point in the line where he was the victory, wasn't he? He was the prize of the custody of Dominic back in the day.
Nice.
Um,
And that's the thing. Was it legitimately father and son? Because we never actually knew who the father was.
oh, interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Personally, I think the finish of the match threw me a bit, to be fair, because I thought for some reason there was like a really uncomfortable kind of pause and stare between Ray and Dominic, and I think it was probably meant to be like okay, we're father and son, and we're going to win the belt. But I thought they were going to turn on each other or something. And the next minute he tags him in, and then he fucks off, and then Dominic gets the pin. What annoys me about Dominic as well at the moment is he doesn't even sell the fucking frog splash. Look at anyone who's done a frog splash like decent. Like when you hit that fucking move, you sell your ribs because you've just put all your
Yeah,
weight
you
down
just
and hit
yeah.
your own. And he just
It's
like
one of the moves where you're damaging yourself to
yeah,
inflict the damage on them.
like
That's the point.
Rob Van Dam. Like obviously Eddie was great as well, but Rob Van Dam was a fucking prime example of this. 5-star frog splash. He would spend more time bouncing around in pain after delivering that move than he would fucking trying to get the pin. And Dominic just does it, and it's just like, yeah, I'm cool, pin, and it's like it's stuff like that, ring psychology. Obviously, we spoke to DDP before, and he said, didn't he? The thing that Jake taught him was, you can have 100 moves, you can have 50 moves, but
Mate, I meant
your
to say like
psychology.
I thought you were gonna mark out so much when he was talking about like taking damage, and like when someone hits a finisher you don't get up straight away. Like, and that's what it's about. And I'm like, oh my god, this is just like that's your wet dream. That's exactly what you've been
Exactly.
saying for so long.
It's
And
so
it's like
true though.
about pins and stuff like that. Like, why would you just lie there and take a pin and so on? Like, it all echoes a similar mentality of that ring psychology. And he was just echoing so much of what you truly believe in from old school wrestling
Well,
that I was like, you're marking out inside here.
I mean, I definitely was. I think it's so right though, isn't it? Because if you look at it now, and DDP even said this, is that to be a wrestler today is very different to be one back in the golden era because you've
Yeah.
got to have such a repertoire now. You've got to be able to do so much more. You've got to be able to, deliver all these different moves and stuff like that. But what seems to have fallen by the wayside is because, every fucker does a choke slam, every fucker does a, all these different moves that is in everyone's arsenal now. It's nobody really stays down anymore. Like, because one guy's finish is another guy's fucking,
That's the
like
baffling thing,
repeat
isn't it?
move.
Like, one guy's finishes a DDT, and then some people just do the DDT for the hell of
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Like,
It's like, well,
you can't. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, I definitely was marking out for that. But yeah,
Oh
my
yeah.
my my personal thoughts on it is it's nice, obviously, to have the Mysterios as tag champions. No offense to either Ziggler or Rude, but yeah, were they really
Like,
doing that
that's the
much
thing.
as
Like,
champs?
the annoying thing. This is the bit that kind of bugs me about it is like, I don't mind that they've won the titles because I don't care, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't care that Ziggler and Rude had the titles, and I don't really. The tag title scene is just sort of abysmal at the minute anyway. So
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. Like, if they'd have had Dominic win like the US title or something, I'd be fucking livid. But it's a tag title. It's fine. What I don't like is like, he's still very new and he's still very green. And while his dad's there to go, look, you do this, I'll guide you through it. Don't worry, son. And like, this having this massive nepotism. It's like, where are we going to go with it? Is he ever going to be a solo star anyway, or is his dad going to bow out at some point? Are they going to ultimately go to a feud between the two of them?
I mean, that seems to be the way to go, isn't it? I mean, we're both dads. Imagine if we were wrestlers and our kids got into it. Imagine if that was how we retired, was, your kid being the one to retire. You know what I mean? Like, that would be
Yeah.
amazing, wouldn't it? So I think if he's got the opportunity to make that happen, absolutely. And now obviously we're hoping to have another segment, aren't we, with the another behind the mask with the costume creator and mask creator for both Ray and Dominic. But I believe, and it's a question that I'm going to ask if we get the chance to sit with him, is I still believe the plan is to have Prince Mysterio, and when Ray goes, then Dominic will earn his mask.
I think that'd be pretty awesome.
And I think that's going to be the only way to really solidify him, is like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I think for now, you couldn't have said it any better, because it's a tag title. No one really cares about it because it doesn't have any prestige anymore. Every fucker's won them at some point. It's like, yeah, like, who cares? It's not like, oh my God, I can't believe these guys have lost the belts, because they didn't really have any, just no
Yeah.
prestige anyway. So
Let's be honest. It's not like they beat the Dudleys or even the New Day or like a really well-respected and established tag team. They beat a tag team that was randomly put together. As much as I like Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler individually, they were kind of just put together.
Yeah.
Like, it's only in the last few weeks they were given a name.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not really too
That
much
is
else
pretty much it.
to talk about, really. Obviously, Asuka eating the pin was as expected. So not too much to talk about there. Bianca and Bailey, I don't think that was any kind of shock.
That was, again, not really an shite. It doesn't merit being an shite, but not as good as I thought it should have been.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And also the finish annoyed me. I feel like there's far too much emphasis placed on her fucking hair every match, right? And I know
I mean, definitely did some damage to Sasha Banks, though.
well, exactly. But like, even in this one, it was like, oh, I'm going to use your hair against you, and then that was how she got the win, was using her own hair to get, I don't know, we get the advantage or whatever. But there's a lot of speculation that this might lead to a hair versus hair match down the line.
You just know at some point someone's going to cut that braid off with some scissors. That's going to be a thing. That's going to happen.
I mean,
on our screens, and it's going to be devastating, and we're all going to be gutted to see it happen.
Yeah, I think we're quite a while off that, but I think we will get to a point where we've got maybe Bianca versus Bailey in like a hair versus hair match or something, and we're going to see Paul Bailey, because ain't no way we're going to see Bianca lose that ponytail anytime soon. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel it was the same shit again. It was like, oh, how many times can you use your ponytail in this? And it's like, is that what you want to define you as a wrestler? Do you know what I mean? Is your fucking ponytail? So.
I get it. You got to get noticed and have a bit of a gimmick at first, but like, she's legit good. She doesn't need that whole thing, really.
Not a gimmick is meant to be the EST, and regardless of how much longevity that's got, I just think a gimmick at the minute is the girl with the big braid, and it's like, well, who cares? Who cares about that? But yeah, so that, Anthony, was the follow-up to WrestleMania Backlash.
That was the Backlash from Backlash.
I don't know about you, but I can't wait for WrestleMania Backlash Hell in a Cell. I imagine.
Or do you keep WrestleMania in there, or do you slowly like move on? So is it going to be Backlash Hell in a Cell? Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
like, do you put the last pay-per-view in the title of the next pay-per-view, or do you keep listing all the pay-per-views? Or are we eventually going to get to like Backlash, Elimination Chamber, Hell in a Cell, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania? Or do you just like...
Yeah, probably. I think WrestleMania is what holds the most value, isn't it? So it's always going to be WrestleMania something. So it'll be WrestleMania Backlash in an Elimination Chamber. Or
are they going to do it with the other ones of the big four? Are we going to get like SummerSlam Vengeance? Or is it just going to be like
that, actually?
It does kind of work, doesn't it, actually?
Better than fucking Extreme Rules Horror Show. That's all I'm going to say. The fuck that was.
The Horror Show. The Horror Show.
Oh, yeah, the Horror Show at Extreme Rules. Don't forget the, obviously, was it Backlash this time last year? The greatest wrestling match ever, or whatever it was. My God. They've had some fuck-ups, let's be fair. But...
So many, yeah.
yeah, so...
yeah, rating, Carl, rating?
Oh yeah, of course. I was so underwhelmed by it. I just wanted to breeze past. All in all, the main event was good. The men's triple threat was good. Bianca and Bailey was all right. The only real disappointing thing was the lumberjack match. And maybe the fact that it was Asuka who dropped out in the women's thing. So all in all, it was decent to be fair. So I can't shit
Yeah.
on it too much. I'm going to give it a 3. It did feel like a pay-per-view. Some of the higher profile matches were good, but it was just a bit meh, bit bland.
I was probably a little bit more meh then. Surprisingly, I thought we were going to land in the same place. I'm going to go strictly middle of the road here.
Okay, 2.5.
And mainly because I actually gave NXT a 3. And if I'm being completely honest, I enjoyed NXT more than I did Backlash.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to go middle of the road for
Well,
myself.
that
And I'm
made
going
that
to
makes
say
me feel a
2.5.
little bit better then because I probably enjoyed this a bit more than NXT. So at least that
Yeah.
means
So it
we
makes a
are
bit of sense, yeah.
we're on the right path.
Yeah.
But Anthony, that's it for another week.
That was this week in
And
wrestling.
what a week. What a week it has
What a
been.
week we've
My
had.
gosh. Yeah, we've had
My God.
a lot of big breaking news stories to talk about in the Ringside Report. We've had, this week in wrestling to run through with a lot of interesting things happening on all the shows. We've had a pay-per-view. And Anthony, we've interviewed Diamond Dallas Page.
Damn it, it doesn't get much better than that, man.
It doesn't, man. It hasn't sunk
A
in
Hall of
quite yet.
Famer,
What?
3-time world champion,
Yeah. It's,
a yoga guy. He's
you know,
just
to have the opportunity as, just two mates who love wrestling who, we don't really go out of our way to really do too much with this show, do we? Like it's something we enjoy doing because we're best buds that like to catch
yeah,
up regularly and talk about wrestling.
yeah.
And where
We always
possible,
refer to it, and I think rightly so, as a passion project. We're not
yeah,
doing this as a business. We're
that's
doing
it.
this because we enjoy doing it.
That's it.
Yeah,
We make no money from it or anything like that. We just do it because we enjoy it. We've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of, awesome guests and hear their stories and stuff. But I honestly never thought we'd be here, a little over a year after making the show and having sat down with Diamond Dallas Page for over an hour and a half, just chatting
yeah.
wrestling
A
stories.
fucking legend.
Um,
And
you know,
honestly, we could have listened to him all night if he didn't have to go.
I know. Please
But no,
stay.
I honestly is just he's one of them. Like we didn't. This is probably one of the few interviews where we didn't really have to say a lot. Like, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not even thinking that. Like, they don't. Let's be honest. You put a video up or an interview up with Diamond Dallas Page. They want to listen to Diamond Dallas Page, and so did we.
Yeah.
So all we had to do was ask him what we wanted to ask him, and just listen to some amazing tales from wrestling. And honestly, he's got stories for days.
Seriously. We had a lot more we were going to speak to him about, but we had to just edit on the fly, didn't we? And just,
Oh, we had tons of prepared questions, but like the stuff he was telling us was so fascinating. And to be honest, he touched on a few different topics that we were going to mention anyway.
well, that was it.
But
So I
like
think
just
anyone
listen to some of the history of it, man. Crazy.
anyone who on like Reddit, for example, obviously we'd called out a lot of the questions that were asked there that we were going to ask specifically, but I think a lot of them got covered anyway, just in natural conversation.
Yeah.
So, obviously if that came up, we'll still give you the credit and stuff like that. But yeah, it was
Naturally, yeah.
just an unbelievable milestone, I think, for the show. Just we've been blessed to have the amazing people that we've already had on the show. There's been such a fucking quality
That's the
set
thing.
of
Like
guests.
we're like fanboying out right now. We've loved every single guest we've managed to get,
Yeah,
and like the surreal thing for me, and I think I said it. I don't know if I said it on air, but the surreal thing for me with this one is like this guy was like we actually like watched him as kids. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of the people we've interviewed so far have been like talent that we're seeing today, or like Georgia Smith, like was obviously it was a special one because of her dad, and we watched her dad as kids and that. But this is a guy we've actually like. We've played video games where we've played as him and stuff like that. It's so fucking surreal.
yeah, it's mental. But he was a wonderful guest. He's a wonderful guy. Please go and check out all the amazing work that he does. His Relentless documentary, my God, is powerful stuff. So if you've not seen
Yeah, I
that, go and
don't.
check it out.
Apologies, because I know obviously a lot of our listeners are US based, so apologies if this is inaccurate for you guys. But anyone from the UK who's listening, Relentless is available on Amazon Prime if you're an Amazon Prime member. Certainly how both me and Carl watched it, and it is well worth a watch. So fucking inspiring, and it makes you want to try DDP yoga. I'll be honest.
Well,
like,
that's it. I've
you
downloaded
look
the
at the
app.
results it gets, not just from the exercise itself, but from the tweaks to the mindset and your approach in that sense. Like it really gets you in. Like, yeah, I want to try this. Like, just change so many people's lives, man.
He is just a special guy, Dallas, because to be able to, and we already know the work he's done with the likes of Scott Hall, Jake the Snake, Arthur.
Look at like when you watch, like, if you watch the resurrection of Jake, if you watch Relentless, they touch on it as well. But you totally understand when Jake the Snake mentioned in I think was it when they were inducting Diamond Dallas Page into the Hall of Fame. Jake was the one who introduced, and he mentioned then that like Diamond Dallas Page saved his life, and I totally believe that 100%. Like, this isn't like a marketing thing or anything. Like, he totally saved that guy's life.
It's the same as Scott
And
Hall as well. It's the same with countless people who just aren't even famous. Like, how many people have reached out to try and do that program? And what Dallas has said is it is all about that change in that mindset. He said, he equated it to almost like Alcoholics Anonymous, didn't he? It was like
yeah,
you have to have that there's that thing of wanting to overcome something and wanting to achieve something, and it's about harnessing that, to be able to overcome, whether you're suffering with pain, whether it's a weight issue, whatever. It's knowing that you can get there and changing the mindset you have today to actually make that happen.
and that's the thing. And it's interesting because it touches on like obviously Dallas talks about it much better in the interview, so it's well worth listening to him rather than me. But like when he talks about the fact that like if you don't work for something, it's not as rewarding, and like that some of the part of that whole mindset and part of that thing is putting the work in, because when you put the work in, then you've achieved. Where it's better than someone just handing you everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. Like, there's no point in going, here's what you do, follow this, and you'll get results, and it's like really easy. If it's something you have to work for, then you I don't know, you feel much more achieved from it, and it makes total sense. He explains it a lot better, obviously, but yeah, fascinating stuff.
It was. And we'll be back next week with even more fascinating stuff. Don't know how we're going to quite top this week's fascinating stuff, but we've been
We'll do our best.
before. So we will see you probably sooner than this time next week. But
we might land back on a Monday again. You never know.
Probably not, to be fair. Probably more like Tuesday, but we'll see you at some point next week. And take it easy, everyone.
See you later.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A to the K.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.